Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Double A Chattery drops today.
And speaking of mums and boys, Anita and I do a podcast together.
This is your friend Anita McGregor.
That's right. And she's known my sons for 15 years. And we thought with Mother's Day coming up, what a great chance to sit down with the boys. My sons were both free that day from university commitments, so sucko, it was them, to talk about our parenting and to talk about our lives. And I've never actually sat down with them and had a conversation like this, talk to them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But having Anita's perspective on it was very interesting. It's funny that the podcast, as you said, drops today, and a lot of it is Raz. Our love language is Raz in our family. And the sort of as we say, the poo sandwich, you start with something nice to say, a bit of a stab and then something nice. We laugh a lot in our family.
The poo can't outweigh the bread.
No, have to have more bread. So there's lots of laughter in the podcast too, but we got to talk about things that I would never normally discuss with the boys because Anita saw it from a different perspective. For example, what it was like having a mum in a public eye. For me, I just go to work and I do a job. For them, how have they found their privacy around me being a so-called public person and the things I've spoken about on the radio about them and how I've felt about that. So it's a really interesting take on how they've navigated that in their lives. And also it was a chance to say how they felt about my mothering, because it's the stuff that you stab yourself with, the fact I wasn't there early in the mornings, the fact I couldn't go to the Mother's Day festivities early in the morning, all that kind of stuff. How have they felt about my mothering? Here they are now. This is Liam and Jack. And in case you don't know the story of my sons, Liam this month is turning 24. Jack is turning 22. I've put some of the vision up on our socials and will continue to do so. So you'll see they have matching terrible moustaches. But here they are sort of talking to me about my mothering. You know, it's interesting because Anita and I often talk about, as every working woman we know, every mother we know talks about how do we do as mothers. And I look at the two of you and I'm always so proud of the two of you. But my failings are always, in my mind, pretty close to the surface. And I thought it'd be interesting to see your perceptions of your upbringing. Obviously, we start with how great I was and work back to how great I was.
Should we run off the bullet point list you gave us?
Yeah, that's right.
Emphasis on was.
So that's the tone of it. But what was also...
Oh, I see where this is going.
That's right. But it's a chance to talk about how they have felt about their dad and the decision we made as a family when I thought it's time to talk publicly about what's happening at home. Harley had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a really hideous form of Parkinson's disease. And so it's been a very hard trot the last few years. And Harley also made the decision about, okay, let's not make it a family secret anymore. Let's open the window, tell people what's happening to give us some freedom, really. But I did discuss it with the boys at the time. But what Liam articulated in this too is that because people know me, and he gets it, part of my job is for people to feel they know me, and I love that about my job, but it gives people permission to be over familiar with them as well about their dad. And it was interesting asking them how they deal with when people ask them about how Harley's going.
Another thing I've been trying to do is talk about Dad, not from a disease point of view, like just talk about, he was watching the F1 the other day, or, because I feel like when people have a chronic illness, it's such an easy thing to do, to talk about them as if they are their illness. But yeah, it's a nicer thing to talk about Dad's interests and what he's been up to and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we've got a photo at home so that the carers see a photo of us as younger people. It's Harley and I as a younger couple, of us as a family before all this kind of took parts of him away. But I think that's a really nice strategy, Liam, of presenting who he is, not just the hard bits.
And that's why in the early we didn't really ever talk about it. And there's one way you can look and say, not because it wasn't like we were scared to talk about it. It's just because that wasn't who Dad was, and it's still not who he is.
That's very good. That's very insightful from the lads.
And they've had to develop these strategies. Yeah. And when I do go out with Liam and Jack, and often I'll say, let's go out to dinner, to give them a chance to tell me how they're feeling about stuff. And we don't deep dive on it. We know who we are. We know who our family is. and we kind of just get on with it. But navigating that in the bigger picture
Yep.
was very interesting. So we spoke about all kinds of things. And the podcast, to hear the full podcast, head to doubleachattery.com. It drops today.